Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the West Yorkshire Football Show and our usual Monday night roundup at the weekend's action. I'm Chris Bell, and as ever, I'm joined by my esteemed co-hosts and guests, Gareth Walker, Stephen Downs, and Lewis
A black
Sale.
screen.
Yeah, and look, we are well aware of Lou's technical difficulties. Oh, he's back. And Lewis Sale, he does join us, looking rather shocked and surprised that he's actually here in the first place. How are we all, gents? Are we well?
Lou's struggling tonight, guys. He's still not got over the cup success. He's struggling, but yeah, I'm all right, Christopher. Yeah, but apart from my football club being a shambles, but yeah, so good.
If we take football out of the equation, we're okay. I think.
I wouldn't say that either, in my opinion. But
okay. You're poking the bear there with Downsy.
Christopher, move on quickly, my friend.
Yeah, I'm just trying to, put out a united positive front, but yeah, okay. Let's just ruin that illusion. Lou, if you can hear me, how are we? Are you well? Brilliant. This is going to go superbly.
I'm absolutely superb. I'm not going to lie. I feel like I'm in a completely different place. Yeah, I'll come back, guys. I'll catch you up in about 2 minutes. No, cut this bit. We're not live. Don't worry about it.
No, we are live. It's like the Eurovision Song Contest going from like the United Kingdom to like Australia, but with a really bad connection.
Well, I think that'd be a lot smoother if he was in Australia right now, to be fair. We'll get Lou back in due course, though. That's the best case of action, I think, for that. In the meantime, we will start with Huddersfield Town and with you, Stephen Downs. And obviously, let's keep things on the pitch to start with. Although that wasn't very good either at the weekend. Off the back of, obviously, what was a good last league outing with the win over Crawley Town. It was a bit of a thumping at the Valley and a defeat, a 4-0 defeat. Against Charlton Athletic.
Yeah, 4-0. It's we were hoping for better. Well, obviously we were hoping for a lot better, but yeah, I don't. What do I say? 30 seconds in, it all went to pot, didn't it? Just a very stunned start, and then to continue that into the first half, we just couldn't get going. No rhythm. Didn't look like any of the players knew what they were doing, which is a bit worrying since they had 2 weeks on the training pitch with Worthy. And yeah, the whole game was just a bit surprising, really. It was like, we've turned up to play a football match, but should we be really here kind of thing. And it all stemmed from that first goal after 30 seconds. Bolker and Spencer both making errors and leaving Matty Gordon, one of the superb strikers in League One, had a great career. Are you all right there, Chris?
I don't think that was entirely me. I think Louis is still operating in the background and he's struggling.
Okay.
Apparently.
But yeah, it all started after 30 seconds, mate, and a 4-0 defeat and a very damaging defeat, going forward for the playoff push.
Yeah, I mean, look, we talked about the fact that the international break after on the back of the Crawley game might not have been what we want. What Town fans would have actually wanted off the back of that. They kind of would have wanted another game as soon as possible and to keep that going. Obviously, not the case with the way it's panned out. How much do you think that kind of stop is obviously had an impact on that 2-week break and what should have been positive time for Worthington to be on training ground obviously didn't work out that way when it came to the match?
Yeah, I mean, he only made one change to the lineup from what was a good performance, a great performance against Crawley. I mean, all right, I genuinely believe any of us lads could have played against Crawley and had a decent game, if I'm being honest. I think they were that poor. But notwithstanding that, Town had to beat what were in front of them. And they did that. Now, we all knew after the international break, it was going to be a much tougher test against a very good Charlton Athletic side. They are a good team. We spoke to Sue, who came on the Town Talk show before the game to preview the game. She was saying how, well they've been doing in recent times. You know, notwithstanding the Peterborough result, but overall, you know, across the form has definitely gone up, and they are one of the more formed sides in the division. So we all knew it was going to be a tough test. I don't think anybody was illusioned that they were going to come out at the Valley and really step it up from minute one. We obviously weren't ready for that, and it showed. I think that was the most disappointing thing, was the fact that they've had 2 weeks on the training ground. They know the likes of Campbell and Gordon are dangerous in this division, and we just didn't deal with them. I mean, Tyrese Campbell was absolutely unbelievable. Like, one of the best performances I've seen from any player in League One this season, and just tormented the absolute crap out of Ollie Turton. And bless Ollie, he had one of the worst games I've seen him have in a Town shirt. He just couldn't deal with him.
Yeah, one of those days. I mean, look, you kind of look at the league table, as we said about Charlton. They were doing particularly well beforehand. For them, it keeps them 4th now in the League One table. For Town, because of results elsewhere for Reading and Stockport, they drop out of the playoff places, but it's still exceptionally tight. In terms of the hunt for the playoffs, really, you could kind of realistically look at anyone down to Blackpool. It's only a 5-point gap between Blackpool in 10th and Reading in 6th. The gap, the more worrying gap, I suppose, for Town fans, is that it's now 6 points between Stockport County in 5th and Reading in 6th. And it's now looking more and more likely, gradually, as the weeks go on, that actually it's potentially one playoff place is actually there to be fought for at this rate, especially the way that those sides in the top 5 are going.
Yeah. I mean, we have got Stockport to play. We've got Lincoln to play tomorrow. Your mob. We've got Wickham to play. So we've got some big games. Let's be honest. We've got some big games against top sides left, and they could be really crucial, not just for Town, but for the likes of Stockport, that I'm sure can still think that they might be in the shout for a top 2 place. You know, I'm sure Nathan Jones will definitely be thinking that at Charlton. But like I said, it looks like at the moment, one playoff spot available. Reading have got that right now. Reading are in better form than us, you know, and it's just all a bit depressing, Chris. Like, you know, there was a lot of optimism going into the Crawley game with Worthy being in charge, one of his own, and all that sort of stuff. And after the result, everybody was like, you know what, the players have reacted. Worthy's got them on side. They've got going. There's a bit of a plan. He's changed the formation to what everybody believes suits the players more, you know. And then you go to Charlton and we just get that. And it's just like another false dawn, as it were. You know what I mean? And listen, we were all in the chat, weren't we, on match day? And obviously I was the early kickoff. And I'll be honest, I did say before the game started, I have a feeling that all 4 sides will win in terms of the 4 Leeds, Bradford, Huddersfield and Halifax. And nobody won. So, yeah, my prediction was great. Don't relay me for a bet, will you?
You well and truly put the kiss of death on that one. As you said before the lunchtime kickoff, that, you know, they'll all win.
Yeah, you know, it was not it was not a prediction to be proud of, that. Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? I know Lou has a lot of points. Hopefully we can get him back in, because I think he's got a lot to say on Huddersfield particularly. But it was a damaging defeat. I think morale's low. I think it was low going into the game because of what has happened off the pitch, and there's a lot being said on that. There's been a lot of opinions spread around about the season ticket deal, and so, you know, it's kind of, there was a lot of momentum built up to the Crawley game, and then that dissipated throughout the week because of the news.
I'm not sure that's the word either, to be fair, Steve. I think you made one up there.
Probably not, but we'll go with it. Then the result at Charlton, and then we go into this week, and we're feeling how we're feeling, really. Lou's back from Australia.
He is indeed. As you say, there's certainly a lot gone out there. Of course, the Town Talk show last night. So for Town fans that may not have seen it yet, you can go and catch that on our YouTube channel as well. let's just touch on tomorrow night before we go and touch on the off-pitch situation. As you say, it is Lincoln versus Huddersfield. Sadly, neither of us are able to make that one on this occasion. Although
no, you bottled it, didn't you?
I'm working, mate. I'll be down in Woking tomorrow night.
Yeah,
is
bottled
thrilling.
it. I was happy to buy you an away ticket, but you bottled it.
Well, I think you bottled it too at the home game, actually, didn't you? By not attending full stop. So
yeah, but I had a reason. I had a reason.
I've literally just given you the reason I'm not going to be there.
Work's not a reason.
I mean, look, we've scored more goals than you by one, but we have conceded more than you, and I'm fairly certain that Fordy O'Connor, who got a red card in the 94th minute for us at Wickham on Saturday, I think that suspension will come into effect, so that's a blow for us. But how do you kind of feel going into that? Obviously, off the back of the last two results, it's quite hard to gauge what sort of town might turn up.
Yeah, it is. And you say that you've conceded more than us. Well, we can't score for Toffee, can we? Except for if we play Crawley, it seems. So it's going to be an interesting battle. I think I place you far and above anything that Crawley could do. I do think you're a worse team than Charlton, though. So I don't see you having the same quality as them.
Just a 2-0 then, yeah.
Yeah, just a 2-0, yeah. But it depends if our lads turn up. I think the players have got to show some bottle now. They've got a fourth or fifth manager dismissed because of the performances. And the performance on Saturday was not good enough by any stretch of the imagination. It's not good enough in front of town fans. And it's not a John Worthington team to be proud of. And Worthy won't have it. He wears the heart on the sleeve. He's a proper Huddersfield lad, in terms of, playing for the club for so long and has respect for the fan base and all that. And he knows it won't be good enough. I haven't watched his press conference so far today, but I will be watching it a little bit later. And I just think that it's now time that the players show this squad. We had a good chat on the Town Talk show, like you said, where some of us were kind of saying, are we in love with any of these players? Normally you love players, don't you? Even people as like Dave at Halifax, you idolise players sometimes that play for your football club. And at this moment in time in the Town squad, there just isn't any characters that you can get behind, obviously, apart from the usual like Hoggy. And Matty Pearson at times who shows a bit of, gumption, but there isn't a lot to get behind. And that's why the players need to turn up on Tuesday, slot you away, send you packing down to mid-table and just continue to try and push for that playoff spot.
I mean, we're already firmly in mid-table, mate. We couldn't be on mid-table if we tried.
Well, lower mid-table.
I think we're about 12 points off the playoffs and about, 14, 16 points above relegation. We're going nowhere, son, and we'll see you next season. Gaz, you want to come in then? Sorry, mate.
Yeah, just quickly. I know, like, Downsy's been obviously talking about how poor Crawley were, and I'm not going to disagree with you, Downsy, because I didn't see any of the game, and obviously you did. You were there.
Off days happen.
But the thing is, they just pumped Rotherham 4-0, didn't they? And I know Rotherham aren't doing anything great this season, so I wouldn't read too much into that, to be honest. I think it could still go either way. You've got obviously Worthington there. I was surprised that you got pumped like you did on Saturday by Charlton. I didn't see that coming. I know they're in good form, and I know that they're surging up the league. I really didn't see that coming. I think this could still go either way. I think you can't, when you've had two such contrasting results like that with the Crawley one and the Charlton one, you still got to be prepared to think this could still go either way under Worthington. Don't write them off.
No. I don't think anybody's totally written them off. And the Rotherham one, that there's a lot of problems there, as we well know. Evans has just been sacked. I mean, that result sacked Evans. Let's get it right. Just like the Northampton results and the Bristol Rovers result sacked Duff at Town. So these sorts of results do happen, and I agree, Gaz, that it was very you beat Crawley 5-1 and then you go and lose to Charlton 4-0, and it is like the opposites, isn't it? But I think what everybody expected going into Charlton was quite a tight game, actually. Where Town hopefully would have got on top because of the momentum that had been built up from from the Crawley game. That didn't happen, and the Kane was rightly what he said on yesterday's show was that the first 30 seconds, if that doesn't happen, I think the game then goes into a period of both sides having a periods and it being quite tight, but just simply because they score in 30 seconds, the crowd's then up, then they get a goal very quickly after that. It's kind of Town was so much on the back foot. It was like a boxer being punched in the first round, and they didn't know really where they were. So it's hard to judge. Like I say, I just hope the players turn up tomorrow. We are still in touching distance of the playoffs. Do you think some people might think, do we deserve a playoff place with the way that we've played this season? I don't know. Do the players deserve to go up from what they've shown this season? Who knows? You have to make your own mind up about that. It'd be great to get in the playoffs. Do I think we win the playoffs? No, not on the current status of the squad and how each player is performing. I think we go out of it with a bit of a whimper, but it's still there to be got at, isn't it? And that's why you've got to keep positive.
I was absolutely shocked, really shocked after what you'd said about Crawley at that Rotherham result. But I think you're probably right. That probably says more about the situation at Rotherham than it does about.
They are poor, mate. Yeah. Honest to God, when a ball is in the air, there's no Town players within 30 yards of two Crawley players, and one guy smashes it off the other guy and it goes out for a corner. I am telling you right now, us four could have played on that pitch and done a better job than them professional players. It was embarrassing. One of the worst sides I've ever seen at the John Smith Stadium. And they got Rob Elliott sacked. Rob Elliott got sacked, didn't he?
They might well be a different side, though, under Scott Lindsay, because obviously Scott Lindsay knows what he's doing there.
He's back, isn't he?
He is, that's what I mean. There might well be a different side again under Scott Lindsay.
They shouldn't have sacked him in first place, Chris.
They didn't. Hang on, they didn't sack him. He left for MK Dons.
All right, well, he shouldn't have left then. But anyway, yeah.
Well, I think it shows you. I think what you've said there, it shows you that early goal for Charlton and obviously Scott Lindsay going back to Crawley. The two big factors in those two results at the weekend.
Yeah. But I'm not saying you're wrong, Gaz, either. By the way, it's just.
Oh no, just yeah.
And so, I mean, Lou, we kind of touched on it. There's a lot of sides that are eyeing up that final place, and I don't know if you were back with us. I don't think you were. When we kind of touched on the fact that it's the way the League One table is looking at the moment. It's basically that sixth spot that everyone is fighting for. From obviously Reading that occupy it now, down to potentially Blackpool, maybe even Barnsley, if they can pick up some form. Unlikely for Barnsley as it is, but right down to Blackpool in 10th, who are only 5 points off it.
Yeah, I think Huddersfield, from the perspective of where they've been over the past few years, it was quite symbiotic, really, of that result at the weekend of where Huddersfield have been. People know my thoughts on Michael Duff leaving and whether that was a right or wrong decision. I'm not saying one result says that, I'm kind of told you so and it's right, because I like to be proven wrong and completely hold my hands up, but it's clear to see that I think there's deeper issues. It's not just a manager. I think from what Downsy said in previous shows, and I know that he were on with our friends at Radio Leeds, and I know Matt Glennon says you can't just get rid of everyone. Well, no, you can't, but you can get rid of the majority of them. And from 1 week, with the shackles off and playing against a team who, with respect, might not be as good as Charlton, to going and doing what they've done at the weekend is kind of exactly what I'm saying is where Huddersfield Town at the moment. And I know we'll come on to other bits and bobs as well through the show, but the players have got to take so much accountability and responsibility for this. They really do. And I know there's an issues that fans may have from the top to bottom, but let's be brutally honest. From what I'm hearing and what I've seen on the highlights, that doesn't represent a Michael Duff side for some of the season. And it clearly doesn't represent a Jonathan Worthington team either. And there's only so much you can go to criticise him because you're actually still within a shout of being in the playoffs, which shows, rightly or wrongly, how strong that League One division is. Yeah, it's tight. There's plenty of teams going for it. But when people are saying, oh, Huddersfield have not been great, but you're still in seventh and still potentially have a shout to get in the playoffs, shows that there's some green shoots and there's something potential to work with. But at the same point, I keep saying it, and I'll say it about Leeds in a little bit. The players have got to take something. It does not take much at all to work hard. It doesn't take much to go in there. And I was listening to the show this afternoon, travelling back from work, and I thought the guys nailed it, especially Kane. And I know sometimes I might not always agree with Kane, but I thought in terms of that mentality issue, what you were saying in momentum, you guys know I preach about that, and I'm completely on the same hymn sheet as Kane as that. To be like that after 30 seconds is not great because you clearly don't plan for that. There's nobody in the dressing room is saying that, but it's a mentality issue. You hear them football sayings, "Oh, if it's going to be time to concede, you concede early and you can get back into it." From what I could see, Huddersfield nearly pretty much fell apart, and from the other content I've seen this afternoon, Huddersfield pretty much fell apart as well. And that shows to me that some of the players have a little bit of that weak mentality. And have got to put their hands up and going, we got that massively wrong, because you can't go, like I say, from Saturday against Crawley to that against a promotion chasing team in Charlton, who, if you're going to be in the playoffs, is what you're going to face. Now, psychologically, Charlton represented Nathan Jones and have represented Nathan Jones this season. Your team is supposed to represent your manager, and I see that in Charlton at the moment. I see Huddersfield Town over the past 2-3 years on the pitch. I don't know who they represent. You know Downsy better than me. Sorry to kind of go on a little bit, but we talked about Brighton Writer. Brighton Writer came out and called out the players. You look back at it, he's got a point at the moment, hasn't he?
Yeah. No,
And
everything that Lewis just said is absolutely spot on. And I said right at the point where they sacked Duff, I can't remember if it was 2 days after we sacked Duff that we were on air on the Monday, and I said, they've put Worthy in charge. He's in charge for 10 games. The players have got nowhere to hide. There is nowhere left to go. You are the problem. You're the ones also the solution. You can get us out of this mess. And like Lou says, you've not got us in a total mess because we can still make the playoffs. So, buckle up, show some gumption, play properly, play like you can play and what you're paid to. Don't be throwing balls out of play for goal kicks. Don't be not able to pass a ball to... I mean, some of the basics of football on Saturday were embarrassing, boys. Not being able to pass a ball more than 2 yards. Throwing balls out of play. Goal kicks that are just what is the point? What gets me sometimes, right, when you watch a football game, why do some footballers not use their brain? Why do they go, I tell you what, we've got a 5'6" striker up front, but we'll keep pumping long balls up to him to hope that one of them might just, slip the defender's head and Taylor can run in and behind and score. Why don't... Surely he's been either told to do that. That's a tactic that, and he's not prepared to change, isn't Nichols? Or he uses his brain and goes, you know what? I know I was told to tactically do that, or even if he wasn't, but I'm going to change doing what I'm doing because it's not working after the 17th go of doing it. And it drives me nuts. Honest to God, it drives me mental.
Wow.
But you know what it is, Downsy, with some of this stuff, right? Is that when you go 1-0 down after 30 seconds, you look at each other going, didn't expect that. And yes, you made a mistake to get to that point, and it could have still pretty much been denied. It's pretty much a free header. It's a decent header, but still, there's time to potentially defend that. I'm not saying he instantly goes back in a line and defend that, but as a group of players, you rally around and you might go, you know what, we're making an error, fine, you get on with it. But if I'm a fan, I want my players now, and I want my senior players and my leaders to get around each other going, right, that's gone now. Don't change it. Now it's for us to go back and make people stand up and going, this is what Huddersfield Town could potentially be under Worthington. Or what this is a group of playing that we're determined to show the rest of this division what we're capable of. Because we know Charlton are in good form. Yes, we're away from home. But that's where you see the minerals of players and the minerals of what people are all about. But instead of potentially getting closer and equalising or having a bit of a say in that game, you've come away in a 4-0 defeat, and from all accounts, it could have been even a bit more. And that's what really is a fan from my perspective, not just from Huddersfield, but I want to see my team give absolutely everything. And there's a reason why, with respect for in League One, because they're going to make mistakes. I'm not saying players are going to be perfect. Absolutely not, because we're all humans. We're absolutely going to do that. But what I want to say is I want some relatively consistency. And I want if I'm a fan, I want to go in that going, I can see something in there, I can see that. But from what you've said, it is you've gone 2 steps forward against Crawley and pretty much 2 steps back because you're no better off 2-3 weeks ago as what you were under Duff and what you are now. You know, exactly. You knew the problems then. The problems are still existing.
But they've existed for 5 seasons. Warnock said when he first came in, there's no characters in the dressing room. We've not added any characters since he left. So therefore, the characters that were still there, there is no characters. They keep saying they're a good, honest bunch of players, but you've got to show something. You've got to stand up and be counted. Where, apart from Hoggy, where are the leaders in the dressing room? We don't have any. We don't. That's one thing we don't have. So yeah.
Let's kind of skip over that. Let's hope the poor form continues tomorrow night, and then you get back to winning ways against Huddersfield on Saturday. Yeah.
Cheers, Chris. Thanks very much.
To be fair, there is one more kind of thing just to touch on, I guess, regarding Town, and Jed's mentioned it, and of course, the injured Dion Charles situation. Who look, we talked about this in the group chat. I think on Saturday evening. I think it would have been, or it might be Sunday morning actually. It's an odd one. He was obviously in the away end at Blackpool to see his old side Bolton lose there. Where do you stand on this first Downsy, I guess? Because the way I kind of look at it, if the club haven't said you have to travel with the squad anyway if you're injured or not, then the Saturday is his own. If the club aren't going to kind of, say, look, do whatever you want with your Saturday, don't rock up at a football match anywhere in the country, though, then fair enough. But it's a bit of an odd one. I'm not putting much blame on Dion Charles' door, to be honest.
So I haven't watched any of Worthy's press conference, but I have seen a 1 minute 50 clip where Catherine Hannah from Radio Leeds asks him about it, and he said Worthy's come out and said that Dion on Sunday morning was the first person at his office door. They went in, they had a chat. Dion apologised, said that he'd made a judgment of error. However, the way that Worthy worded it was he was injured. He was not in the travelling party to the Charlton game, and therefore he was not needed in London. So therefore, I'm taking from that. They didn't say specifically stay at home. They just didn't tell him anything. So he's gone. So he's probably gone. Yeah, so he's probably gone, right, well, I'm going to do what I wanted to do. Now, he's gone to the game. Now he's not gone to the game on his own. He's gone with his 3-year-old son or 5-year-old son or whatever. Obviously, in my opinion, I agree with what Lou was saying in the chat, which I'm sure Lou will have his opinion, where he was kind of saying the club need to take more ownership on it. I agree. You need to say, look, if you're not in the travelling party, lads, stay at home or at least, just go to the park or whatever. In my opinion, he's allowed to do whatever he's allowed to do. We live in a free country, a free society. If he's not told what to do, then he can do what he wants. Do I think he should have used a bit of foresight? Is he going to get filmed at Bolton, a club that he's just left, and is a current playoff rival for Huddersfield, a team that he signed for, and a team that he's currently not played very well for? Yeah, he could have used a lot more foresight. I wouldn't have done it if I was in his position. But fair play to him. That's what he wanted to do. So I'm a bit in the mid, really. I think it's a storm in a teacup.
Yeah, I agree.
But I also agree with what maybe Lou's going to come on to saying, about that the club should take more ownership about these sort of issues. I think that, would I have rather him gone and got smashed at a pub? Probably, yeah, to be honest. I mean, I don't know if he'll have drinks, but I would rather him go to a pub and have an all-day session in a pub rather than going to a football game. Because at least you can understand him going out and enjoying himself. Going to watch a rival club, all right, some of his mates and whatever that he probably still goes out with at Bolton.
That's the thing, isn't it?
It's just a difficult one, isn't it? And he's a young kid. or I think he's my sort of age, so he's probably thinking, do you know what? I can't be bothered sat at home. It's actually a nice day. Let's get out. Let's get to the footy. He's probably because he's injured. He's probably missing playing and that as well. So he probably wanted to be in that sort of environment. So that's kind of my thing about it, Chris.
If he's taking his son as well, and his son might well be a Bolton fan, to be fair, because if he'd have been born and brought up when Dion Charles was at Bolton, then it would be understandable if he's a Bolton fan, just taking to game Father Sunday at the football. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Lou, I feel like you're going to disagree completely.
Let Gaz go, because I know I've spoken for a bit. Gaz can go, then I'll come in with my piece.
He's building up to something here, Gaz.
Mine's only a quick point. To me, it's common sense. You shouldn't need telling. You don't need telling. It's not like he's gone to a non-league game or he's gone to a Premier League game. He's gone to a team's game that literally next to town in the table. It's common sense. It's not. I'm sure.
Yeah, but it's also for the club that he used to play for, that town have bought him from.
Yeah.
I know that clubs probably do have rules on this, and they should be enforced. But come on, lads, it's common sense. Surely, it's common sense to me. You just don't do it.
No, I don't think he's gone in with the intention either. By the way, to wind down fans up. I just think he's just made an idiotic choice. So, yeah.
It is what it is. It'll all blow over. We'll be back as soon as he's fit and back playing. Everyone will have forgotten this anyway.
Right, let's get back to the anger of season ticket chat.
No, let's not go down that route tonight. I can't be bothered.
Go on, Lou. Let Lou have his say.
Let's let Lou have his point on this, and then we'll get on to Bradford.
I think it's very, very poor. I think it's very poor from Huddersfield. I think it's very poor from the player. I think, the end. You know what? I know this sounds a bit corporate and stuff, but I were on Huddersfield's website, right? This is what it says, right? Our organisational culture is underpinned by the principles of everything together, which highlights the importance of teamwork, collaboration, respect, and unity. Just leave that there.
Sorry, what was that?
And I know that sounds very corporate and all that kind of stuff, but what I'm saying is, regardless of whether you're the T person or the kit person, up to the player, up to the chairman, right? What have we said before about Huddersfield Town, where it doesn't seem to be working as it probably should do? On the pitch, we've struggled in recent years. Is that unity, that teamwork that we've called about this year? Even a weekend, right? And then you've got a player who's been bought from your local rivals in the same league, going for the same playoff position for £750,000, right? He's on contract, but yet he's at the Bolton game. I go a non-league, right? And I'm not saying non-league's all high and mighty, right? Because it definitely has its faults, like certain areas of football do, right? But I've known players on contract who were injured, and they might be injured for the rest of the season, but they'll still go to the games, whether they're home and away. If I'm that club, I want my players contracted to come with my team and be part of a team. That's what a team is all about. And we've spoken about previous occasions with Huddersfield Town players who, we spoke about what Brighton Wright has said. And you've got a player that's going out, albeit it's a bit of free time, but you're also under contract. If I'm under contract at my work, right, I wouldn't be expected to go to a rival and just kick about there for a day, because you know you're going to be on social media when you're a player like this who's get bought for £750,000. I think it's very poor. I think it doesn't look great in the club. Worthington's had to come out and address this, and they've had to address it before the press conference today as well, which takes up time, which they clearly don't have on the side because they're going for the playoffs. There's more important things to talk about, but yet this kind of stuff is another issue that keeps getting brought up amongst some of the hybrid of things that are happening at Huddersfield Town, kind of off the field and on the field. It's not needed. It should have never been. It shouldn't be allowed to happen, in my opinion. And I think that's an occasion where the club will probably get around each other, going, right, we've definitely got to make sure that doesn't happen again, because yes, it's not a big deal, but for me, I think from a PR perspective, I don't think it looks great. Don't look great in the club. Don't look great in the player. And Worthington, I listened to earlier, he's had to come out and said it was a first McDowell to apologetic, and we accept that. And it's a little bit naive. it shouldn't even be in talking point because he shouldn't even probably be there. He's a Huddersfield Town player. He should be with the team to celebrate and support the lads through win, lose or draw. That's my opinion.
We've had other instances, in the past of the opposite of what's just happened, where you've had players like Sean Scannell, Steve Mounier, Scott Arfield, Hef, Schindler, Lerver, going to wherever the away game is. I mean, even as far as Bristol and Plymouth and stuff like that. And some of these lads have gone into the fact that sat with the fans. Like I remember years back, Steve Mounier was injured, went into the town end and was handing out presents like they were on confetti to juniors in the stands. That had travelled all the way down to Arsenal to go watch the game. And so it's all about the personality of the player. I'm sure. Dion, I believe what Worthy says. I think he probably, Dion probably does regret doing it. Just like Gaz says, it's just common sense. And I just think it's obviously a learning curve for him. But
I reckon he'll have had a great day in Blackpool. Pleasure Beach at 11 a.m. Football at 3 p.m. Cabaret show on Central Pier at 8. Jobs are good.
That's what I wanted to do when I went for the early kick-off, but unfortunately I was outvoted. And the Pleasure Beach.
I'm going to say, joking aside, I think people are slightly jealous of Dion Charles on Saturday afternoon.
yeah. Let's move on then away from town and turn our attention to Bradford City and to you, Gaz. And after the highs of the week before, the big win over Colchester, a little bit brought back down to earth away at Accrington Stanley, of course. Right on your doorstep, that one, the crown ground for you for that one. A 0-0 draw, though, and combined with Walsall dropping points again, kind of looking at it, how many more missed opportunities you're going to have to leapfrog them, but at the same time, he's not losing any ground either. So it's just going to plough on until the final day of the season at this rate, with just 1 point between you.
I'm not personally. I think a lot of I'm going to be blunt. A lot of fans are getting carried away. I'm not. I'd like to win the league, but it'd be a bonus. I want to finish in the top 3. I'm not looking at.
I said it last week, Gaz. You were the one singing we're going to win the league after you were leaving Valley Parade in a 4-1 win.
Gaz has never. Whoa. Well, Gaz has never sang that. I'd like to see. Yes, but I'd like to see a video. Right. And if that did happen, in truth, we need to sign Gaz up to that choral thing that they announced 7 weeks ago.
It's not a chant of we're going to win the league. It's a song that they sing about Richie Smallwood that they sang even when we were like struggling in the league. It's not a we're going to win the league, we're going to win the league. It's not one of those.
You were delirious leaving.
My point is that I want to finish in the top 3. And I think people have been thinking too much about going above Walsall and going to the top. Our priority should be getting automatic promotion. After Saturday, we are 1 win in 4. That's the harsh reality of it. And the games that we've dropped points in are Gillingham away, Accrington away, and Tranmere at home. Don't look good, does it, when you look at it like that? Saturday in itself was a strange one in that we just didn't come out of the blocks very well at all at the start of the game. Accrington were the better side in the first half. Not drastically the better side. They weren't creating lots of chances. I think there was one shot that Sam Walker had to save in probably the whole game. But they had the territory in their possession and they looked the more likely. The second half started in a similar fashion. And then we brought the subs on. And when we brought the subs on, the game changed and we were the team in the ascendancy. Again, without really creating a lot, but we were the team that looked in the more likely and the team that looked more energetic and the team that looked more threatening. And Stanley changed from a side that had actually knocked it about quite nicely in the first half to a very, very cynical side that just delay, feign injury, go down, get the physio on. At one point, the ball went out for a throw-in to City, and the Stanley player laid on top of the ball to stop City taking a quick throw-in. Things like that. You know, we all see it at games, but it was a blueprint that was set by Gillingham. It was a blueprint that was followed by Tranmere, and after those subs were made, the blueprint was followed by Accrington. And the only way I can see us overcoming, or any team overcoming that kind of approach, is you have to score an early goal in the game and go 1-0 up. The way we approached that first half, we didn't start quickly enough. And like I said, we were second best in the first half. Obviously, ideally, the referee deals with it and books players for time wasting. This guy didn't. Other than that, the referee didn't do anything wrong in the game, apart from possibly not clamping down on that time wasting in the last half hour. But yeah, it's just a little bit worrying. The games that we've got now coming up aren't against teams that I would imagine will play that way. We're away at Port Vale tomorrow night. We've got Crewe at home on Saturday. We've got Notts County to play. We've got Donny to play. We've got Chesterfield to play. Those teams I don't imagine will approach the games like that, which will hopefully mean that we will have more chance to attack. But we need to keep the door closed at the back in those games, because those teams are up there near the top with us for a reason. They're not down at the bottom like your Tranmere, Gillingham and Accrington were. So yeah, it was really frustrating. It was just such a dull game where literally nothing happened. Like I said, possibly one shot from each team in the whole game. And when you've got 2,600 away fans there that are outnumbering the home fans, it just put a damp squib on an afternoon that had so much potential, really.
Yeah, I mean, let's turn to tomorrow night then, and it is, of course, second place Bradford travelling to third place Port Vale. 3 points between the two sides as things stand. Obviously, there's only 5 points between Doncaster Rovers in fourth and Walsall, who are top. It's all still very, very tight. So that makes tomorrow night's game all the bigger.
It really does. Port Vale, very similar to us, patchy form. I think they lost at home to Barrow in the last midweek game. I watched a little bit of that game, and they absolutely pummeled Barrow in that second half. How Port Vale didn't score in that second half, I don't know. I think they lost 2-1. Paul Farman in the Barrow goal were inspired. Port Vale hit the woodwork 4 times. It was just one of those where the ball won't go in for them. So they are going to pose a totally different threat to what Accrington and Tranmere and Gillingham did. There is also a worrying stat going round. Port Vale haven't won a Tuesday night home game for 3 years. Bradford City love ending those kinds of runs. Bradford City turn up, that run will undoubtedly end tomorrow night. The game, like I say, is going to be totally different to the one on Saturday. We have to be at it. We have to be at it from the off, but hopefully we will get the chance to play. It's a massive game. I think City are taking again 2,500 fans down, which is big for a Tuesday night. So yeah, it's all set up for a top of the table, mouth-watering clash.
Did Darren Moore once play for City, or have I made that up?
He certainly did. He was in the team that got promoted to the Premier League in 1999. He was a regular in that side in what's now the Championship that finished second.
Darren Moore, Derby.
Yeah, he was a
good player, crap manager.
Port Vale actually were also we played at dinner time on Saturday like Town did. Port Vale also played at dinner time on Saturday. So with how dull the City game was, there were a lot of fans checking the Port Vale score in the away end as the game went on. Port Vale scored with 4 minutes to go and won 1-0 away at Crewe, which is a big result for them in a reasonably low-ish derby. So Jaden Stockley scored. So yeah, they're coming into it off the back of that. So it's going to be a very, very interesting game.
Do you think? Sorry, guys, I just wanted to ask. Do you think that looking at the games that you've got left, do you think you'll be able to averagely pick up enough points to do what you really want to do? I mean, I think you can do it. I think unfortunately, most City fans probably are of an opinion that you probably can't, but that's because of the City dourness coming through. But I genuinely think, you're onto a great thing. You just need to keep momentum up, and unfortunately, sides like Accrington are just going to be, the sort of thorns that you have to get past, aren't they? With the type of... We had it earlier in the season with Burton. I mean, I've never seen a goalkeeper take as long over a goalkeeper.
I think if you'd have asked me this 2 or 3 weeks ago, I'd have been a lot more confident. And then obviously, like I said, we're 1 winning 4, 1 winning 4 now. So fans have gone from being carried away, like I said, like Chris said, going to win the league, to now in the pub on Saturday after the game, people are saying we're going to end up in the playoffs. We lose on Tuesday night. We're level on points with Port Vale. We're 1 winning 5. It's impossible to say. I've been worried about April all the way through because of how tough the games look with the teams up near the top of the league. But then we've dropped points against teams that are down near the bottom of the league recently. Colchester were the antithesis of that. Chris will testify. They came to play. They came and they were in good form. I think they're unbeaten in 13. They'd won 5 on the bounce, and they came to attack, and that played into our hands because it gave us a chance to attack them as well. So it's really, really tough to say. Like I say, if you'd have asked me 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was more confident than I am now. Now it's so tight. I honestly don't know what's going to happen.
You can do it, Gaz. You can do it, and you obviously you were at home on Saturday, so
no, we were away on Saturday.
No. But Gaz, you were at home on Saturday. It took you
30 seconds to get home.
5 minutes to walk home, mate.
20-minute walk from my house. I should have gone straight home afterwards because I got piss wet through walking to the pub. Yeah, just really, really, really tough to say what's going to happen, and I wouldn't like to predict it, to be honest with you. What is a bonus is, like I said, we were better when those subs came on Saturday. Amongst those subs were Patterson and Poynton for the second game in a row. They came on in the Colchester game as subs. They came on again on Saturday as subs, and they made a big difference to the team. So if they were there to start on Saturday, on tomorrow night, are they fit to start? We'll soon find out, but they'll hopefully be fit to start very soon.
To be fair, tomorrow night, just looking at some of the other fixtures, though, as well, it's not just yourselves that have the big game, Gaz. You know, Doncaster are at home to Walsall, so that's the meeting between 4th versus 1st. Crewe and Grimsby meet as well, so that's another game between two sides in the playoff places. Tomorrow night could be a very interesting little evenings of events, really, for those sides that are in the mix for the top 3 and the playoffs. I know, obviously, Lou, you know, a Walsall fan as well, and I imagine the nerves are jangling down at the Bescot.
Yeah, I was with him on Friday night just before their game on Saturday. And listen, he was nervous. He actually thinks they'll do well to just probably stay in the top 3. Kind of discussing with him what were the reasons behind that. Obviously, we know that Nathan Lowe was a big part of that, and obviously gone back to Stoke. But he thinks it's not just that; it's just been a bit of crisis of confidence, coupled with like links that were happening in the January transfer window. But the thing is, it's obviously what they're saying is, and the chap who I know really well is the Walsall fan, we're saying it's just trying not to get on the backs of the players and the manager, which crikey would all talk about Bradford City, don't we? We talk about it all the time. But what they're saying is obviously they packed out their home ground with about 9,000-10,000 because they recognise that the lads and the management need that support to try and get them over the line because they know that they were so far clear. They said it's not even complacency. They've just hit a really bad run of form. And once you get in a habit, like you were winning, it's easy to get in a habit of losing. But obviously, you know, he recognises the challenge that are up there with the likes of Bradford and Port Vale and Donny and hitting the form at the right time. I mean, wow, was he a better team in form last year than Doncaster towards the end of the season? I don't think there were. In the whole of the country, they were absolutely outstanding. And I think the difference, when I was saying on Friday night, is even though City would be absolutely disappointed to get in the playoffs, as you guys know, I still think you'll get automatic, guys. But I think if City got in the playoffs, they could really, really be quite dangerous in there with the power of the fans and all that that kind of goes with it, even though will be a tinge of disappointment. If the likes of Walsall get in the playoffs, who've led the league pretty much from day one, and then end up in the playoffs, that is a massive psychological hill to get over. So I think Gaz is right. And I think we said it in previous shows, and I keep banging the drum about this. This is a real business end of the season, so you're going to get them results that just sometimes don't make a little bit of sense. And there's that pressure that, you know, little nuances that you're going to get in performances and results that probably you've not seen in over the past 3 or 4 months. So you're going to get it, and I can get why Gaz is feeling a little bit, he doesn't know how to predict it, because you wouldn't, because it's just one of those crazy times of the season where you've just got to cross everything to hopefully get over the line. Don't matter how you do it. Performances in some respects don't really matter. It's just about just doing the business and getting a result.
What's interesting as well is that there are so many permutations to what can happen in the end of the season. As you described the fixtures tomorrow night, Chris. It's not just us that have that tough run in April. Every single person, every single team in that top 7 is playing each other or playing at a few teams in that top 7 before the end of the season. The fixtures, it's not just us, it's everybody that's got each other to play. So there's so many things can happen.
I just looked ahead to Saturday, and obviously, whilst you've then got Crewe at home, Port Vale have then got, Walsall have then got Port Vale. So Port Vale have got 4th place tomorrow and 3rd place as it stands on Saturday, which is nuts. Absolutely nuts, as you say.
It's the same for everybody. We've all got each other to play throughout the rest of the season. And as Lou said, momentum is huge. Obviously, we had it where we were the team that kind of sent Walsall into this spiral a little bit. I think they were unbeaten in 14, and then they came to Valley Parade and we beat them 3-0. And then they've been on this run ever since. Colchester were a fly-in. They came to Valley Parade. We beat them 4-1, and they lost again on Friday night at home to Grimsby. Momentum is absolutely massive, and the crowd thing's a great point as well. City tapped into it with the Colchester game, getting 23,000 in, building on people feeling positive and getting behind the team, and it worked. They're doing it again on Saturday. I don't know if you lads know that they're doing another ticket offer.
Yeah.
Rather than being £5 for everybody, it's going to be £10 for adults and £5 for concessions. But again, they're trying to build on what happened against Colchester and repeat what happened, because they know what a force the fans can be if they're in a positive mood.
You can only do that 3 times, though, in a season. So would this be the second time that they've done it?
Yes, mate, second time.
Yeah. I mean, what is your last home game?
So we have got, Fleetwood. Fleetwood's our last home game. Last game of the season.
What I would do is, if I were City, what I would do is I'd go, right, if they're doing this offer, I'd then wait and I'd do the last offer for the last game of the season and go, right, everybody, we want the stadium full, packed, 24,900 and whatever it is. We want every seat filled for what potentially could be an automatic push.
Yeah,
that's what I do.
With what could be on the line. I completely agree with that, Downsy. Completely agree. All the best, though, Gaz, for tonight. Are you going down to Port Vale?
I am going down to Port Vale. There's 5 of us going down together, 3 of which I were with on Saturday at Aki. So fingers crossed for us tomorrow night. Can I just come in on Doncaster as well, because I had a whinge to you before, didn't I?
Because you whinged to me earlier, and it's not till the end of the month anyway. Go on.
Well, we've only got, out of our 7 games that we've got left, it's an interesting point that Downsy made about saving that ticket offer to the last game, because out of the 7 games, 3 of them there's only 3 at home. So the Crewe one on Saturday is 1. So if they were to do that offer at Fleetwood, it would only be the Notts County game, which is the middle one of those 3. That was meant to be on Good Friday and has been moved to the Thursday night, where there wouldn't be a ticket offered on. It is a good idea if we can stay in touch with the autos until then. Just a little bit of a whinge about Grant McCann. I don't know if you lads have heard. I mentioned it on the podcast last week. Doncaster's away end is a stand behind the goal. It holds 4,000. In previous years, they've given the whole stand to City, and City have sold it all out and taken 4,000 fans to Donny. This year, the away attendance has been capped at 3,000. They won't give any more than 3,000 tickets. Fair enough. Quite often this season, fans have sold out or gone near to selling out their away allocation of 3,000 at Doncaster. Grant McCann has got himself involved with the ticket people that sort the ticket things out and allocations out at Doncaster, and has insisted that Bradford City be given the minimum amount possible for that last game of the season, that penultimate game of the season, City's last away game. So City will only be given 1,515 tickets for that game. I'm just having a bit of a whinge about Grant McCann there, getting himself involved in that.
He once played for Peterborough. Doesn't surprise me. But it's embarrassing, Gaz.
No, see, I'll be honest. I'm sorry. I completely get it.
I get it. It's just embarrassing, though.
If this was the other way around, and City had, and Doncaster were trying to Valley Parade in that penultimate game, given what can be at stake for both sides, and City could give Doncaster as little as possible, they would for the exact same reasons that Doncaster are.
100% get it. I get it, but at the same time, if you're Grant McCann, why don't you think that your team is good enough to beat Bradford City, whether there's 4,000 there or 20 there?
Yeah, but why would you? Why would you want the opposition to have any advantage though? Like,
why are you not concentrating on your own fan base and trying to get?
It's not an advantage though, is it, Chris? Because Donny is still going to have more fans there, regardless of how many City fans.
Yeah, but that's not the point, Gaz. Gaz, that's not the point though.
Make a hell of a lot more noise than 1,500.
Yeah, but that's not the point. Grant McCann should be concentrating on his own football club and his own fan base rather than worrying about what. No, he's not. He's not.
Grant McCann is literally doing what is in the best interest of Doncaster Rovers by limiting the amount of away fans. I'm sorry.
Right. So what he could say. So what he could say.
So what he could fans here, but it's spot on.
So what he could say is, right. Tell you what, the town of Doncaster that's got 40,000 people in it. Why don't we get 20 of you? Because I don't know what it holds. I think it's like
15,000 because we've been given 10%, so it's 15,000.
All right, so if it's 15,000, why and say I don't know, I think they only probably get about 9, don't they? Why don't
that half the time?
Well, that's my point, guys. Why don't they get the stadium rocking with actual Doncaster Rovers fans rather than worrying about if an extra 1,500 City fans turn up?
But that's the only way that I could then say, all right, I understand why you've done it. If they're doing a ticket offer like what we've done for Crew or for Colchester the other week, if Donny were doing something like that and trying to stack it out, fair enough. But if there's going to be loads of empty seats everywhere, it just doesn't show much faith in your own team, does it?
Maybe they will. Maybe they will. Gaz.
They might do, and if they do, then fair enough.
And do you know what, Gaz? Do you know what? I know that you might not be able to get there, but what I'd say is if City do pump them 3-0, and I've got no against Donny, by the way, but if they pump them 3-0, you need to create a song. All City fans need to create a song of something like "Look How Empty Your Ground Is" or whatever.
I think they probably will. I think they'll probably do a ticket offer. I would imagine that's something that they're looking at. At a guess, I don't know, because I think they have already been selling tickets for that game. So can they retrospectively reduce? Do you know what I mean? I don't know whether they can do that.
I don't know whether they can or not. But it's one of them as well, because that'll be their last home game of the season, I'm assuming. If they're at home on the second to last, they'll be away on the final day.
Yeah, they will be. Yeah.
So, look, as I say, I know I'll irk City fans, but I am completely with it. If this was my club, I'd be doing, absolutely doing the same. I'm fairly certain if it was the other way around and it was Rovers going to Bradford, and there was these levels to play for that could be the difference between an automatic and a playoff spot. You want every advantage you can have. You just do.
Can I just say?
It wouldn't make any difference because City's ground holds 25,000 and Doncaster won't sell 2.5 anyway. So,
go on, Gaz.
Oh, Lou.
Right, Lou sat there. Lou sat there as a Bradford Park Avenue fan, giving absolutely no shits. It's fantastic to see.
I listen. This is going to surprise Gaz because I agree with you guys on a lot of stuff, and I disagree with Chris on quite a few bits. But I think it's greatest housery from Donny. I think it's superb. I think. Listen, I feel sorry for the genuine fans who want to go, are going to miss out on the opportunity, and it could massively backfire. It's you're playing a big joker card, aren't you, there by saying we're going to give you 10% because if you get them in the playoffs or you play them in next season and you're surviving and you could send them down. Listen, it's karma, it comes round as football. But I think that moment in time, I think it's fab from McCann. I actually like it.
On move.
I can understand why he's done it. I just think that it's very bitter from a Bradford City point of view.
100%.
Football's for the fans and all this, that, and the other. I totally understand why he's done it, but I don't agree with it.
It makes British football great, doesn't it? When stuff like this happens, this is what the game's about, innit?
It is. It's great. And listen, guys, you're probably going to have a laugh about this in 3-5 years' time when you could potentially send them down because it won't be forgotten. This kind of stuff for football fans does not get forgotten in the slightest, especially with social media now. This will rumble on for a generation of fans. So it's almost like a little bit of rivalry that I think you'll all appreciate, but I think it's great.
Let's take a minute now off the back of that to all calm down a bit and let's watch Brownie and Jay, losing their minds over Illan Meslier. They can't join us tonight on the show, but what we've done is we've taken a little bit of their discussion from last night's Leeds special with Brownie and Jay, all about the game at the weekend, the 2-2 draw against Swansea, and in particular, the topic, unsurprisingly, of Illan Meslier.
We should be able to have off games and still come through them with 3 points. That's what the top teams that win divisions do. And when you have what we have in our goal, you can't, because the team has to be perfect. That's the biggest problem, mate. The team has to be perfect to be able to win a game.
Well, yeah, Illan Meslier, I mean, what is left to say about this guy? I mean, you know, I want to preface by saying, you know, none of this is personal or anything like that. You know, absolutely, this is just football terms. But how he is our starting goalkeeper, how he's been allowed to have 5 years as Leeds keeper, how he's reached 200 appearances in net for Leeds. I mean, it's an insult to your great goalkeepers of the past for this club, Nigel Martin and all these guys. You know, it's a slap in the face because this guy's nowhere near it. I mean, I'm kind of, I was going through it in my head today. I was thinking, okay, so what was he like last year? And he was poor last year. You know, he had very little to do, really. I mean, the Leicester save was kind of his big moment, but generally speaking, he had very little to do, and he was still one of the lowest performing keepers in the league. Yeah. Coming into this season, you think, okay, I mean, I absolutely thought he should have been replaced in the summer. I think everyone thought he should be replaced in the summer. And then summer comes and goes. You start the season, first game against Portsmouth, we're absolutely flying out of traps, 1-0 from a penalty. We're dominating. We're creating so many. I mean, we had so many chances in that opening period against Portsmouth. It looked like, yeah, this is happening. And then he just lets one through him. And ever since then, it's like he might go 4 or 5 games where he's barely tested, or he might make a couple of good saves. But these moments, it happens. Sunderland. You know, you go through the archive, you know, there's so many games later. You know, at Hull, we were winning 3-1 at Hull. We were beating Hull 3-1 until he spooned it in. I even thought QPR a couple of weeks ago, I thought he was a big part of that as well, the way he dithered when he was coming out. You know, and the fact that this guy is just, and I don't know whose fault is it. Right. So in the summer, did they even talk about replacing Meslier? Well, I doubt it, because they gave him, what was it, 3rd captain, or he was nearly vice captain, or some madness like that. So that tells you that somebody's supporting him. Is it Farker? I don't know. Is it the recruitment team? I don't know what it is. But honestly, it has cost us so dearly. It's cost us, if you're being generous, 9 points.
It's 12.
Generous.
It's 12. It's 12. I calculated it yesterday. It's 12.
But but 5 or 6 points is too much. Do you know what I mean? With an extra 9-10 points, we're home and hosed. And I don't think any of these other problems even happen. You know, the defence are walking on eggshells with him. You know, Rodon. I put a tweet out yesterday. Someone said, you know, and it's on our thumbnail as well, Rodon looking after this Meslier mistake. And for me, you know, it's like Rodon wasn't even angry by that time. It's like, you know, the 7 stages of grief. He's reached acceptance now. He's not even angry anymore. He's just, I accept that this is what this guy is like and this is what's happening. We have to put up with it. And I think you're right as well. Carl Darlow, I mean, plays for Wales. He's obviously got that relationship with Rodon, Ampadu, James. I mean, I agree with you. I've not been impressed with Darlow when I've seen him, but my God.
Just to preface what Brown is saying there, he's talking about something that I said just before we came on air. This is how flustered we are. Like, we're 24 hours after and we're still, like, trying to piece this all together. But basically, I said to Brownie that Carl Darlow is exactly the same as every...
Was that not
It was before the stream, mate.
We were ranting before, sorry. Yeah.
Carl Darlow's pretty much the same as every championship goalkeeper. Is no lower or higher than any other championship keeper that you'll see. Unfortunately, now what we've got is a situation where Illan Meslier is the step down from that. He's actually below that. Whether it's because of regression, whether it's because of confidence, whatever it is, the stage that Illan Meslier is at now, he wouldn't look out of place in League One. He wouldn't. He's making such basic errors that it's costing us so vitally. Like, everything he seems to get involved in costs us goals. Earlier on in the season, when we weren't conceding, when we get a clean sheet, it's because Meslier's had nothing to do for 90 minutes. You go and have a look, he's made 1 save or no saves. They've had no shots on target. That's what was happening. The game directly after the last big mistake, I forget which one it was, he was back in the side and he had nothing to do for 90 minutes. He had no shots on target. That's what happens. That's how good we are at retaining possession. Now, the problem is as you just said there, we walk on eggshells. The team are aware of this factor. If we give the ball away, if we're not perfect and we concede a shot on goal, something's going to happen. We're going to concede. And that ultimately is exactly what happened yesterday. Now, he saves the penalty, but it means nothing because of everything that then came then after. I mean, the poor guy, I mean, I feel a little bit sorry for him. It's his first penalty save in 7 years, right? It's the first penalty we have seen saved as a Leeds United fan in a meaningful game in 7 years. That is insane, right, to start with. But then it means nothing because of what he then does afterwards. Just catching a simple cross. A League Two goalkeeper would have caught that cross every time.
There we go. That was Brownie and Jay on the Leeds United stream last night. If you're a Leeds fan, you've not seen that, you can go back onto our YouTube channel to watch the full thing in its entirety. I'm just going to mention this. Ben, the Huddersfield fan, can we just watch this for the rest of the night? It's a bit weird, Ben, to be honest. You can see him got tonked 4-0 at the weekend, and you're mocking Leeds for getting a point. Weird. As for the point that they got out of the Swansea game, Lou, I'll start with you on this one. I mean, look, I'll be honest. From a neutral perspective, I think neutrals are quite glad that Ilya Meslier is in that Leeds goal because he's at least keeping the title race interesting. As Jay said earlier, you know, the calculation suggests something like 10 or 12 points they've dropped because of Meslier this season.
Yeah, listen, there's a lot of debate, isn't there? And we know the highlight reels and memes that are going around and all that kind of stuff. And there's an aspect of making sure, it's obviously it's from a football perspective and all that goes along with it. But he's just not seemed to be doing the job that you probably expect from a keeper at the top end of a division to do. And especially when you look around teams such as Sheffield United with Cooper and Trafford at Burnley. Listen, I've said it before about Leeds. I think we've got a little bit of a weak underbelly in terms of physicalness, and especially in the defence where they do struggle a little bit. And it's not helped when some of those goals are going in. I thought the first goal was extremely poor. When there's nobody around him to drop a ball like that, it's a lack of concentration, isn't it? And unfortunately, you can almost get away with one a season, possibly two, but it's happened a couple of times. Listen, there's arguments there for Farke now. Farke's going to be very much scrutinised ever some more if he's not already been doing this season from Leeds fans. I think everybody's pretty much from a Leeds perspective hoping that dialogue goes in. But I also said in our chat to the lads as well, and I watched the full stream and I thought, listen, I wouldn't say changed the tune a little bit, but there's a little bit of anxiousness, anxiety about where Leeds might end up at the moment. But the players, again, to my point about what I said about Huddersfield, the players have got to step up, though. They've got a decent squad. I might be controversial, yeah. Leeds do have a very good squad, and I know they've got the best squad in the league in the past. But is it as strong as what people are making out compared to other teams? Question mark. But I think the players that are in and around the bench have got a massive opportunity now to step in and really, really do a job. And, and push others for a place in that starting lineup. But yeah, listen, Farke's got into a really good point. I've seen a lot of content recently where there's a lot of criticism for him, which I think some of it's quite unfair. I think Darlow will probably come in going into the next game, or maybe the next two games, just to give Melanie a little bit of a rest. But obviously, Leeds just can't get in the playoffs, can they? Because they do have that kind of squad and quality that should seem through as at least in the top two. But listen, see how they go. But I know the lads, like I say, they do feel a little bit on edge about what's happening at the moment, which is understandable. But I said it before, and you know my thoughts. Again, like I said, with Gaz and Bradford City, I still think we'll go up. Still think we've got enough in the tank to get over the line.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Downsy, not you, but as a Town fan that saw Charlton beat Huddersfield 4 at the weekend, were you knocking one out over Leeds dropping points?
No. Jesus Christ. Should we just take a minute here, right? And bet that's Ben's comment back to Chris, by the way, after Chris just fired out.
Huddersfield being shit is apparently made better by Leeds dropping points when they could still be in the Premier League next season.
Right.
I mean,
can you
that then. Let's
Can
take
you
the table, Downsy.
Yeah. Can you and Ben just go into a room? So yeah, in terms of Leeds, no, I wasn't knocking one out, as it were, because I'm really not. You know what I mean? I've got my own opinions about Leeds, right? And you know that they're quite forthright. But then again, I was concentrating on how crap my own club was at the weekend. You can take the graphic off now, Chris, if you want. You know, I do think though that the remaining games are interesting for Leeds. Yeah, MESLIER, I think, has cost them a lot of points. I agree with Lou. The first goal was very poor from a goalkeeping perspective. I mean, there's no one around him. It's a quite easy catch. The second goal, I mean, I don't know what you think, Lou, but I thought that was a poor mistake as well. You know, I mean, he's literally got only one place to hit it, as I think it's Grimes that scores. You know, it's crossed the goalkeeper, so it's not like he can go near post with it. So I think the second goal was poor as well, but he has made errors, and you know,
I agree, Downsy, but I also think there's a build up to that, and yes, it is an element of an error from a goalkeeper. I think he's actually hit it reasonably well. I think his body position in terms of melee, I'm no goalkeeper, don't get me wrong. He just doesn't seem to set his feet right, and his position's not great. But prior to that, it should have been never got in that position. You know, there's players losing the ball in the corner, there's sloppy passes. It should have never got to MESLIER. And listen, I'm not kind of backing up all the time because I don't watch Leeds enough, if I'm being brutally honest, to kind of say that. But again, it's to the point where, you know, you want your other players to step up and do what you need to do. They've got a job to do. It's all right criticising MESLIER, but there's other players that need to step up and do the same thing.
I do think. Yes, Chris. Whatever. I do think in terms of the battle currently going on, you know, you don't see those errors from Sheffield United or Burnley. You know, sort of individual errors or team errors, and I think that's where Leeds are at. You know, I still think that Leeds have got the best team in the division. I know kind of what you were saying, Lou, but I do. I think individually they've got the best players. I think as a team that they are the best team.
Yeah.
But, you know, when they met these errors, it seems to affect their fan base more than it does others. And they don't seem to bounce back as well. You know, they are going through a bad patch of form. I think it was exactly this time last year when they went through that bad patch of form. And as we know with Leeds, you know, I'm not just saying this because I'm a Town fan. They can't not go up this season. And I don't think they can afford to drop it into the playoffs because there's too much pressure on that.
There's too much riding on it.
There's too much pressure. They'll just blow a gasket, and it's just like they can't handle it, you know. And so for me, if they're going up, they've got to go up automatic. I think the second keeper will come in. It will damage MESLIER's confidence, but I think at this point you're going to have to say, look, you're just not good enough, mate. And, you know, we need to take action here to make sure we get ourselves into the Premier League. He's not going to play next season anyway. I'm pretty sure if they go Farker, first thing on Farker's list, he's going to be a goalkeeper anyway. So it's interesting. I love the battle at the top of the league. I think it's really, really healthy for the EFL in general. It's just the gap is just massive though in it to go up.
Huge.
Just so that Ben doesn't think he's the only Huddersfield fan I'm going to get at tonight. I'm just going to pull you up there, Downsy, for saying that it was Matt Grimes that scored the equaliser.
I don't know who scored.
I think you asked the Slovenian striker that got the equalising goal, swapping with Matt Grimes, who plays for Coventry City.
Well, he used to play for Swansea, didn't he? This is how much I paid attention to Leeds at the weekend. I think that says it all, doesn't it, really?
I can only agree with what's been said. It's the pressure with Leeds, isn't it? And you mentioned that players making mistakes. It's not players, it's one player. And that's why they're getting so frustrated, because it's that one guy. And you're also right, Downsy, he won't play he probably won't play even if they don't go up next year. They'll sign a keeper regardless whether they're in the Championship or the Premier League. So it's just, and we talked about Leeds fans and the pressure and them overreacting to every time they drop points. The fact that he keeps doing stuff like that obviously just keeps making it worse. And I totally understand the frustration.
I mean, look at Burnley's form. Look at Burnley's form there compared to the other two.
I was going to touch on this because, interestingly, I remember when we did the show before the international break, and if you remember, we brought the fixtures up for the weekend just gone. and we looked at it and thought, Sheffield United, they've got a difficult game at home to Coventry. You've got Burnley with a difficult game against the informed Bristol City. Leeds have got a home game against Swansea. Out of all three of those, Leeds will be the ones that'll definitely get the win, and the other two could drop points. And obviously, as it's turned out, quite the reverse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. You're right, Chris, 100%. But I think there's also, there's an element of teams who've got nothing to play for actually can be very dangerous as well to play against.
You see all the
time. Zero pressure. Yeah, 100%. And, I think also it goes to show that with respect to those Leeds fans watching as well, that, again, you've got a good squad, but there's a heck of a lot of work to do if you're going to survive in the Premier League next season because you're not running away with it. Burnley have based their position on very, very good defending. Simple as that. Leeds have got the best attack, but the defence is pretty average. And I think to Gazzy's point on what we said earlier, I think what really irks Leeds fans at the moment is these errors from the goalkeeper, from what's appearing at the moment, is probably what's cost them from going up in terms of in the next couple of games, because they could have probably been up in the next 2 or 3 games mathematically, but that's not going to be the case at the moment. It's probably going to go to the final day.
And that's right. That's the difference between all them teams. Burnley, defensively sound. Leeds United, probably the best attack. Sheffield United probably rely on individual brilliance at times. And I think that's the difference between all 3 teams.
Yeah.
It's what gets you through in games. They always said, didn't they? Defenses win titles, attacks win games. Somebody said that once.
Stephen Downs, 31st of March, 2025.
No, somebody did say it once.
You did. You're right.
Yeah. Right, let's turn our attention then. Finally, we want to try and finish at 9, so you've got about 5 minutes to try and wrap up the non-league scene across the region, Lou. Let's start with the National League for Halifax Town. They were the 4th side that Downsy predicted to win that didn't.
Shut up, Chris. We can all be wrong at times.
Did you say that at the beginning of the show when I couldn't make it? Fantastic.
Yeah, we did. Yeah,
we did. Downsy outed himself with that one as well. He admitted it. So
a stop clock can be right twice a day.
Oh, you were lucky. You were close then from saying something.
As for Halifax, a 1-0 home defeat, quite a surprise to be honest, against Hartlepool United.
Yeah, a blow for Halifax. Probably one that was slightly unexpected. But like we've said countless times, and sound like a broken record and a very boring one at that, is they're probably just about squeezing the playoffs. Yes, it's tight. I know Gateshead have been a little bit wobbly, and obviously Rochdale as well have had again bit Jekyll and Hyde in recent weeks. But Halifax just sitting 3 points behind Oldham. I mean, it's still phenomenal to be 5th with resources the players have got. I've never bolstered the team recently with a couple of players. Eastleigh away on Saturday. You'd think that we might get something from there. And on paper, it looks a favourable running, I think, for Halifax. I think the only team that you'd really look at that you might potentially struggle is Alty at home, which could be quite a deciding game for the playoffs. But the rest of them are kind of mid-table to lower. So with respect, to Halifax, it's in their own hands to get in the playoffs now. And if they don't, then they've probably got themselves to blame.
Absolutely. Internationally, North Farnsley Celtic, a heavy defeat, obviously at their home game in Buxton, 4-0 defeat against Hereford.
Yeah, it's harsh to say, but just doomed until unfortunately to relegation. Yes, they've got a few players back in terms of fitness and suspensions and stuff, but yeah, it's hard to see them getting out of this. And I think over the next few weeks, we'd probably expect Farnsley, unfortunately, to be confirmed as relegated.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Wish them all the best going forward. Into the Northern Premier League then, and now one representative in that division is Guiseley. They left it late with a 90+9 equalising goal from Jamil Levi for a 1-1 draw against Matlock.
A little bit worried about Guiseley, I'm not going to lie. They looked to me at one point to have second place pretty much in the bag and thinking it was theirs to lose, and now they're quite a number of points behind Worksop. I said this a few weeks ago that home advantage is going to count big time. Don't get me wrong, Guiseley won quite convincingly at Worksop. I think it was 4-1 early in the season in one of those notorious 6-pointer games. Ashton had been a little bit wobbly, but then beat Hebburn 5-1. Bark and Danny have got, I think, a little bit of work to do to get some momentum back in them players, because they've dropped some points where they shouldn't really drop points. We're never going to win the league based on what Macclesfield have done, which has been extraordinary. But in my opinion, they probably should have sewn up that second place. But again, football's a strange game. You're never going to, predict it right every time. But they'll be probably going, could have got 3 points in that, and on paper we should be getting that. But third is still a decent achievement. I don't think they can go any lower than that. If they do, then you'd be a slightly bit worried that they might not get in that promotion push.
Yeah, if they can finish third, they'll at least get home advantage in the semi-final as well. And as I said, they've lost the least in the second least in the league. Sorry, only Macclesfield have lost fewer games, but they have drawn the most inside the top 7 of Guiseley. Into the MPL East, Lou?
Yeah, listen, some strange results again. Emily defeated 3-1 Ashington. I think pretty much confirms Cleethorpes near enough as champions. I watched against Avenue on Saturday, and I will say this in terms of, ironically, at Avenue, it seemed like a really decent game of football, something we've not probably seen over quite a number of years. It was feisty. It was some good quality, football from both teams. Feisty on and off the pitch. A few words were said on between the dugouts, which was, sometimes you can't beat a little bit of that. Some quality goals that were scored from both teams. Cleethorpes, arguably, in my opinion, will do okay in a division above when they get promoted. They will get promoted. We've got some good players. They've got a little bit of backing behind them. I think Emily have done exceptionally well to be second. Unbelievable achievement. But that playoff push in that league is quite something, because Emily now down to third behind Dunstan, who I watched last week against Avenue, when they were again very solid, typical North East outfit, who, in my opinion, if they play at home, will get through and potentially win the playoffs. But there's Newton Aycliffe, Stocksbridge Park, Steels, Belper, North Ferry, Carlton have all got a say in that. It's really interesting at the top end of the table, but unfortunately, at the bottom end, it's not looking great at all for Liversidge. Ponty have dropped into the bottom 4 as well. Brighouse suffered a really big defeat to Sherwood Colliery. So again, that last place, in my opinion, I hate to say this, because I think a lot of Tully and the guys at Liversidge, I think we're going to struggle to get out of that at the moment. And I think Brighouse and Ossett and Ponty are in a fight for that last relegation spot.
Yeah, the thing with Emily is that I think that the length of the season's just taken a bit of its toll on it, Lou, where they've done so well to get to this point, but it's just form in the last month or so has just been really, really patchy. And whatever the case, they need to celebrate what they've done this season, because it has been absolutely fantastic. Whether they ended up going up or not, it's probably, and if they did go up, they probably wouldn't be ready maybe for the division above.
Maybe not. But then, like I say, the third have got an half decent run in. They've still got to play Belper away, Stocksbridge away. Playoff contenders themselves. That's going to be really interesting to see how they fare against them. They could have a say in a relegation with Bridlington and Ponty in their concert at home is pretty favourable as well. So they could potentially go into the playoff race on a really good run of form. If they can do that and time it right, they definitely want to have a say in it. But I don't fancy it, and I won't fancy playing any North East team in the playoffs, because I've been there throughout the season, and them pitches are something else. Atmosphere is something else. It's very close, very tight, and they've got some absolute quality within their ranks. You look at Dunstan, the likes of JJ O'Donnell in there. Who's not really a Northern Premier League East player, and they've got a few others in their ranks as well. Newton Aycliffe are one of the best attacking teams I've seen in this division. We've got a player called Jake Pettijon. If anybody's watching him from an EFL perspective, it wouldn't surprise me if he's playing Conference in League 2 maybe next year. He is some player, from a player who's a number 10, who's joint top goal scorer. He's definitely one to keep an eye on. So it's going to be really tough for the likes of Emily. But then also, I'd look at Emily and going, I don't really fancy playing them, because you'd have never thought Emily were going to be up there challenging for the playoffs either.
Absolutely. Into the NCL East, the Northern Counties East League, and obviously last week we mentioned it on the show about Silverstone being confirmed as the champions of that league, and massive congratulations to them. But another big weekend another big weekend in the NCL for the other sides involved. One of the other things to talk about before we get to that actually as well, Albion Sports, I think midway through last week they had a 3-point deduction for an ineligible player, which it certainly hasn't derailed their playoff hopes. Of course, they're playing tonight as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's a blow. I know they're currently, I think, as we're speaking, 2-0 up at half time, which will do them a world of good after, you know, that kind of error that's been made. Yeah, I think first of all, congratulations to Cavan, the guys at Silsden. I know a lot of the guys there. Fabulous effort from them. Listen, I had a little bit to and fro in between Cavan recent weeks and years and stuff, and fair play. He's absolutely done a fantastic job there with the team, and they've beaten some really strong competition. But the playoff push is really, really tight. We keep, you know, this team's in there. Golka, Beverley have done remarkably there to kind of upset again the odds from what we're talking about Northern Premier League East with Emily. Beverley have done the same in Northern Counties East League, so it's Fackley, Albion who are pushing there. It's going to be really close, really tight. I really can't call it. I really honestly can't call it. I think Hallam, obviously with the crowds they're getting, is going to an advantage of their home pitch, which is a hill. For those that have not seen it, it is a hill. Could absolutely help, you know, really do them a world of good. But, you know, Goal could have just come good at the right time as well. But you just want to see as many West Yorkshire representatives in there as possible. To potentially get Golka, Fackley, Albion in there would be fantastic. And with respect to Beverley, that could absolutely happen.
Yeah, if we could, again, with the best of respect, but if we could squeeze Beverley out, it would be quite something. Obviously, Sales win the league, then Hallam in second, Golka third, Beverley fourth, Fackley in the final playoff place as it stands. Albion with a game in hand, which is to be played tonight, will leapfrog Fackley if they maintain that 2-0 lead that they have at the moment. But then all to play for going into the final day of the season as well. And into the NCL Division 1, Wakefield again just continue to score goals in a 4-0 win for them against Armthorpe Welfare, Lou.
Yeah, really interesting one because we've seen Ilkley beat Wakey the other week to kind of halt their run. And then Ilkley go and beat Horbury as well to just, you know, shuffle the pack again at the top of the table. Ilkley have been remarkable. Another team who just sit inside the playoffs in fifth. Sam Dexter and the guys again have done a fantastic job there, and nobody will fancy playing them if they're going to beat the likes of Horbury and Wakefield. Nobody wants to play a team like that in the playoffs. But from the top of the league, Horbury sitting top, played the game more, but 4 points ahead of Wakefield. Wakefield, obviously, that game in hand, that comes up, I think it's midweek, I believe, or the week after they play Maltby Main. So on paper, Wakefield have got a decent run in. Horbury, just looking at their fixtures towards the end of the league, they've got Louth and Maltby Main. So again, it's two teams who could have a say in a promotion push. But if Ilkley can get in there, that'd be a fabulous achievement for Sam Dexter and the team.
Yeah, very much so. And just probably leave the NCL, just a little tip for any Bradford City fans to watch some midweek football this week on Wednesday night. Eccleshill are hosting Campion up in Rose. So, yeah, that one will be worth going down for Bradford Derby on Wednesday night. And then in the Northwest Counties, Lou?
Yes, unfortunately, Route 1 Rovers look like they're near enough going to be confirmed shortly to be relegated, suffering a 3-1 defeat. And Steaton pick up a really good win against Bacup Borough. You know, really, really decent result for Steaton. And I think, unfortunately, for the guys at Route 1, that might just be the final nail in the coffin, I think, in terms of how that league is looking. Hopefully that, you know, I don't see much of that changing. I think Steaton, I think they've confirmed it, haven't they, actually, at the weekend that they've probably done it. So it's a blow to lose. Route 1 Rovers have been remarkable, come from literally nowhere, haven't they, by forming a club and coming up through the tiers. But listen, it's an achievement for Steaton to stay in this league. I know obviously there was a bit of work behind the scenes with administration and managers and kind of the directors and the running of the club. So they'll definitely want to improve on that finish next season and get towards the right end of the table because, you know, you look at that division, it's tough, it's not easy. And they'll definitely want to go one better next season and not be looking over the shoulders throughout the campaign.
Where do Route 1 Rovers go now, Lou? What division do they drop into?
Depends on the tiers and how it's all worked out.
Just to work out how many games they've got to go as well, actually, because obviously it's 18 teams in the league, so I think it's got 36 games to play. They've still got 5 to play. If I'm right in thinking, they're only 10 behind Steaton.
Well, maybe I read it wrong. I thought I'd seen Chappers say that they might be secure at the moment. Maybe I've got it wrong, but yeah, it depends on how it all works out, Downsy, because I know that a load of clubs can apply for different leagues and stuff depending on how that all sits as well.
Might be my maths. I think he's with 34 that they'll play. In that case, with 3 games left. Yeah, so actually that would be where they would be down. I think it might be my math then. I was trying to work out how many games for 18 teams. I was trying to think how many games are in the Bundesliga again.
I don't know. Great maths, Chris.
It's going to be. Listen, for a lot of these teams, and we're talking about the NCL kind of their playoffs. I know we're moving from Northwest and North Counties East, but like them playoffs will be kicking off mid-April. So there's some really good action to watch in there. And if some of our West Yorkshire teams didn't get in there, we talk about it all season, and I bang the drum about this. Even in friendlies, it's not a friendly at this level. Honestly, we go and watch a playoff game between some of these teams because it'll be absolutely sensational. Like, it's pretty much mates against mates who know each other. They've probably played for previous clubs in the past. They've probably worked with some of these chaps. It's bragging rights. It's everything that's on the line. And you will see some really, really spirited displays. The quality sometimes might not be top-notch, but listen, we see it in the top leagues with some of these playoff games that they'll either be sensational or you might get to a final and the final doesn't always build, kind of match up to expectations. It's on a different level with some of these playoff games. So we'll obviously keep you in touch with what that looks like and the dates, and I know that we'll probably try and get to a few as well. But it's definitely worth getting along to, especially the likes of Golker and potentially Fackley and Albion Sports as well in there, because there'll be some really good fixtures in there. And listen, from Silsden's perspective, they're not having it be involved. They can look down on everybody else and go, thank the Lord we're not involved in some of that, because you do not want to get stuck in them playoffs.
No, you do not. So once again, big congratulations to Silsden for doing that. Thank you, Lou, for taking us through the non-league scene. And on that note, we will wrap it up for this evening. Big thank you to everyone that has got in touch on the comments, to Ben, to Jed, to your other half, Rebecca Downsy, as well, as even been kind of wrote you in the comments as well.
You offer a pint with Ben now? Is that what we're? Cheeky little pint with him.
Well, looking at Ben's last comment, I think for some reason he thinks I'm a Leeds fan when far from it, to be fair.
You are a Leeds fan. We know that you are. Secret closet.
If they dropped into the playoffs, I think it'd be quite hilarious, to be honest. But that's,
Ben,
something that Brownie and Jay will take it with me, I'm sure, no doubt. Steve, Lou, thanks for joining me. Thanks to Gaz as well for joining us earlier on here on the West Yorkshire Football Show. Do go back and check out the weekend's reviews. Jay and Brownie with their Leeds review, of course. And then Steve, you and the rest of the lads, was it Kane, Zach, and Cal dissecting the 4-0 defeat at Charlton. That's on the YouTube channel as well. But from myself, from Lou, and from Steve, enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll see you soon here on the West Yorkshire Football Show.